Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to The Hindu. I am Appaji Reddam, President Editor, The Hindu, Andhra Pradesh. Amid all excitement about the poll results today, let's discuss the anti-incumbency in Andhra Pradesh that's likely to turn tables. While the counting for 25 Lok Sabha and 175 Legislative Assembly constituencies in Andhra Pradesh is still going on, we are almost clear about the likely outcome. And if you look at the numbers in the afternoon, the TDP BJP JSP alliance is leading in over 150 assembly and over 20 Lok Sabha seats. It was a contest between YSR Congress Party's welfare schemes and the TDP BJP JSP alliance, which has development agenda in addition to the welfare schemes. It looks like the public have clearly rejected the YSR Congress and leaned heavily towards the alliance as we speak now. And the influencing factors in the current polls are the newly forged TDP BJP JSP alliance, issues such as general anti incumbency, capital issue, alleged scams in liquor, sand, land, etc., lack of industrial and infrastructural development, and last but not least, the Land Titling Act, which is a final blow from the opposition. To further dissect the entire episode, I have with me Mr. Sumit Bhattacharjee, Chief of Bureau, The Hindu, Andhra Pradesh, Professor D.V.R. Murthy, former Head, Department of Journalism, Andhra University, Dr. G. Anita, Head of the Department of Journalism, Acharya Nagarjuna University. So let's quickly go to Sumit. So Sumit, can you tell us what are the key issues from the different regions of AP that galvanized the polling pattern and a heavy tilt?
Apaji, the basic factor is apart from the regions, if you look at the region wise, the anti incumbency factor has been across the state. Rayalaseema was a bastion of the YSRCP. They are out of 51 seats, they have almost lost about 45 seats over there. Okay, they're losing everywhere, whether it is coastal Andhra region or central Andhra or Rayalaseema. So the basic factor that has given anti-incumbency has been huge across the state. Now there are certain contributing factor to it. Yeah, you have, if we say that, Jagan Mohan Reddy, one way has done well with the DBT schemes, which is a direct benefit transfers to the beneficiaries. It did work well, and he thought that he would ride on it high. But at the same time, development took a backstage. So people have come to realize that DBT schemes, those minor benefits, is not the ultimate thing. We need for this. We need the state to develop. We need the state to industrialize. We need the economic development. We need the employment for our children. When I was touring rural areas, people have come across. When we ask them question that, what is your opinion about the government? They say, yeah, government is giving us money. So would Naidu or Pawan or even Modi who would come, they would give us money. But what are the future of our children? Where is industrialization? Where is development? Where is roads? Where is economic flow of resources in our state? So these are the questions that were posed by the people, and I think that played a huge made a huge dent into Jagan's DBT schemes or welfare schemes, because he was specifically focusing on that area and he thought he would ride on it. About like 2019, he would do it. But Naidu's thing was development as well as schemes. Now, where would Naidu fund it? That's a different story now. But he has won the election handsomely now, so he has to now look into both development as well as the schemes that he has promised. Because 2014 he failed in that. Second factor, that other thing that I feel, that governance. Governance was, I think, they took a back with all this skill. Jagan spoke about decentralization, and he tried to focus on saying that three capital is the way of decentralization. But actually, decentralization did not take place the way it had to be. Yeah, he had the secretariats and all that. That is one step of development. But if you look at his ministers, his MLAs, even if you go to the GVMC councils, or GVMC or any municipal corporation councils, you would find them arguing within themselves that yes, government is not giving us funds to develop our own wards. We don't have the funds to develop our own wards. Within YSRCP themselves, there was a problem in Greater Vishakhapatnam Corporation. Every council meeting, there was an issue they raised that we don't have funds to do it. People are asking us, how do we face them? So how do we face them finally turned out to be a big bane for this government. They could not face the public. Probably that was one aspect that piled up their anti-incumbency factors. So it was, we were expecting results on these lines, but not so drastic fall from 151 seats to just 17 seats especially after all those welfare schemes. It is
That's true. That's true.
that
That's true. That's quite a dip. Quite a dip. Nobody expected. Let's toss to Professor DVR Murthy. Professor Murthy, how do you look at the
Yes,
way
yes.
YSR Congress has
Yeah.
addressed key issues? Is it completely welfare, or there is considerable focus on fixing the current issues? How do you look at it?
No. One issue is, see, this debate is welfareism versus development. In fact, development is lacking. It is very obvious in the state. And particularly this verdict seems to be that there is a split between pro-Jagan and anti-Jagan. We need to accept it because whether people voted for Jagan or not, obviously it seems to be that people have not voted for him again, in spite of his repeated rhetoric of winning 175 seats. He did not do so, and miserably it has come down to 17. It means they rejected his populist programs or welfareism, may be rejected by the people. That's one point. The second one is obviously it is a misgovernance, or what we call it is a lack of governance. So many issues we notice that the governance is lacking, and the policy issues most often they are contradictory. And which GO is coming, we do not know. Of course, there are many other issues we can discuss, but obviously it seems to be that the government has not focused on governance. The second one is always they're talking about welfareism, giving doles to the people in a sense, they want to distribute money. That doesn't work out. And what I've heard, what I gather from various sources is majority of the people who are beneficiaries of these programs, they're also not accepting them. They say that some money is given to us. What about next generation? What can we give to our children? So if employment is majority of the people are asking for employment, that is lacking. So obviously, it seems to be that youngsters have not voted for the government, apart from others, particularly government employees, or disenchanted with the programs of the government. Of course, many other issues we can discuss in course of time. Obviously, it seems to be anti-Jagan vote that we need to admit.
That's interesting. That's interesting. That the government
Yeah.
has ignored several sections, it looks like, and they made it a point to go to the polling booth and
Yeah.
express their intention. Let
Yeah.
me get back to let me go to Dr. G. Anita. Dr. Anita, how far could TDP, BJP, JSP alliance connect to the public? Is it a factor in a way?
Yes, to a greater extent, I feel they could drive the point of lack of development and law and order issues, especially this Land Titling Act. I think they could successfully drive these aspects into the public mind, and they could succeed in drawing the attention of the public. In fact, the Land Titling Act was not so fierce in the minds of the public, but for the last 1 month, I think that has taken the entire wave among the public, because people were even 1 month back also people were not very much aware of it and what are the consequences. And people, I think YSR CP party has some kind of uh, favoritism by the public because of the DBT and other schemes, etc. But drastically, it has changed to mostly because of the Land Titling Act. I think people, because mostly the farmers or middle class people or lower middle class people, they are emotionally connected to the land. So whether it is a half acre, 2 acre, 10 acres, or 15 acres, they think it is their own property for the last few generations. So disowning or a kind of panic created with regard to this act has, I think, taken a toll on YSRCP. Had it not been the case, probably their number would have gone in a much better than what it has been surfacing now today.
Yeah, that's a good observation. A Land
Yes,
Titling Act and the issue
it
that
has
was
taken its
brought
toll.
in
Yes, yes.
that was brought in at
At least
the fag end of the campaign by the by the
Yes, yes,
allies parties has worked
yes.
well and it has gone into public
Yes, yes. They could
very well.
successfully, at one point of time, even the three capitals also has lost its ground, and suddenly this issue has taken the front seat. And the government, I think, could not drive what it was intended to do with this particular act. Probably that is where the alliance could, draw some kind of benefit. In the last
But
1 month, activities have showcased that yes, the alliance has a edge.
yeah, it looks like the government was in a hurry to introduce the act
Yes,
and there was no proper education. And
yes.
people
And
were
another thing
unsure
is
about
that
several things.
they have tried to say that it is based on the recommendations and guidelines issued by the Niti Aayog, but later it has been found that yes, Niti Aayog has no role to play with regard to this particular act. So I think that was one nail, we can say.
Yes, people have taken a strong call on that.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
yes.
yeah, let me get back to Sumit. Sumit,
Yep.
so what is the impact of YSR Congress welfare schemes and the campaign by the alliance, especially the multiple public meets by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Chandrababu Naidu, and Pawan Kalyan, and how the electorate perceived the entire episode? Uh, so, how do you look at the ground scenario?
Apaji, like, it's something like this. This Jagan's welfare scheme. It was the election capital was Jagan's welfare scheme versus Naidu's that six pack. I mean, 6 point agenda and development combined. So it was basically the election was fought on this thing, and people looked at development because Naidu has got some reputation of being a visionary or being some CEO sort of in status who has built the IT city in Hyderabad. So he has got that thing. He's got credibility for that, and that credibility I think reworked for him. Okay, so with that, I think development and the welfare schemes together, he could push his agenda. And I feel that this particular the Modi coming here three to four times, then Pavan's Varai Yatra, Naidu's Bhavishyat Guarantee Yatra, Bhuvaneshwari's Yatra, Lokesh's Yatra. I think it was a planned campaign because Jagan till about 4.5 years did not move out of his camp office. So he was, and he neither did he allow his leaders to do the groundwork. So these people, right from a year back, year and a half back, they started off their campaign. Then the alliance was forged with JSP, then finally with BJP. And people look at with Naidu's vision of development, they are looking at central government as a double engine growth. So probably because Naidu, if in one of his speeches has said, a couple of election campaigns, he said, my tie-up with BJP is not for this election. My tie-up with BJP is for the future of the state. Because he was confidently saying that when Modi would come, probably everything, India would form the government finally. But tie-up with the state government and the central government can benefit the state. And now I see the benefit could be even better because with India not doing very well as expected, and yes, I mean, the India, the BJP has to depend on its allies, especially a substantial chunk is from Bihar and again from AP, 21 seats, 21 seats. So we would be in a better position to bargain and get our deal. So I think it worked out well for him. That is one aspect. Second thing, as this, Anita was saying, the Land Titling Act. This was something like the SCS. In 2019, SCS was the main poll agenda. People did not understand that SCS is AP does not qualify for SCS because we all know that. But despite that, it went well with the public that we are being sidelined. We are not being given SCS. Now, Babu had not tried for it. Babu came out of the alliance because of that, facing the opposition heat, and he failed it miserably. Same thing, Land Titling Act. Even we also do as journalists do not know in fine print what is there in clarity in it. So it was given like Brahmastra, the India used is saying that your land will be taken away. It went to the people that yes, our land will be taken away. But what is there behind? Because it's a central act. What is there behind it? It was? And Jagan failed to explain because it was a last minute weapon they used. He failed to
Exactly,
explain
exactly.
to
That
people that
was, yeah, that
it
has
needs
worked
a
very well.
survey. Yeah, it needs a survey. These are things, safeguards. Nothing. They could not do anything. People not just start Land Titling Act is a draconian act, and No, whether it's draconian or not, that's later we must read the fine print to understand the legal issues. It's a highly complicated act. So unless we understand that, we won't know it. So it
Yeah,
went as a Brahma.
let's move on to Land Titling Act. We have a specific question about it. We will
Yeah,
discuss it in detail because it's very important. And it is the act that turned the tables,
yeah.
as
That
it
is
was
the
so
table,
popular.
the last
Before
one.
that, it was, as you said, it's a win-win situation for the alliance partners.
Yes, yes,
And when Chandrababu Naidu and Janasena chief Pavan
Pawan.
Kalyan said that central support is necessary for the development of the state. It's a
Yeah,
tactical move, and
yes.
it has worked very well, especially at a time when the state government is mute to the most of the infrastructural development programs and the investment opportunities,
And
etc.
we are in a position to bargain now.
Yes, that's
Our
true. That's true.
substantial strength
Yeah.
and
That's true.
weakening of
Let me
BJP
quickly move on to Professor Murthy. Professor Murthy, what is your take on the campaign and the people's perception about it? What did people think of the campaign from both the sides?
See, in political communication, we often say that a leader must connect himself with the public or with the voters. See, that is lacking with YSRCP. For example, the chief minister was only person who campaigning in YSRCP and none else. And whereas in aliens, three parties are campaigning, and particularly Chandrababu Naidu traveled all over the state and he campaigned every point. So that was an interesting point. The second one was the YSRCP government was banking on volunteers for the party, or they would deliver the welfare schemes or money distribution, something they would do it. But what surprising fact is what happened to volunteers' work? Nothing is visible now. If you see it, if they secured 17 seats out of 175, the government was claiming that volunteers would help the party, but surprisingly, they were missing in the scene. Nothing could be achieved by the government because of the volunteers. That is point number two. The third one is the campaign was so effective, they planned in such a way, the aliens, three parties, one after another was visiting the place frequently and campaigning. But whereas in the case of ISRCP, only chief minister was campaigning, was talking about different issues, and there was no connect between the voters and the government. Ultimately, it is seen that they were not connected with the voters. It is obvious. Otherwise, had they been connected with the voters like Chandrababu Naidu, they would have won more seats. They did not. In fact, they missed in that. And one point with Chandrababu Naidu, whether we like it or dislike it, he got in habit of connecting himself with the voters, or some program or some campaign, some issue, something he would take forward to the people. That was his political communication for the last 25 years or 30 years. So that is missing in YSRCP party now. So this may be one of the reasons for not securing more number of seats. So that is a big problem for the party. And one interesting point I'll bring to your notice is, see, the Jagan government has set an agenda for the coming government. They set the agenda of what they have to do in the next 5 years for the coming government. That is set by the present government. Now you can imagine many things you can discuss on this point. So many, they can reform, they can do so many things about they can do away with the volunteer system, or they may reform or reframe it, they may name it something, and they may recruit people. And above all, in the campaign of Jagan, nowhere he spoke about unemployment problem, which is a major issue in the coastal Andhra districts. Nowhere he touched the subject, whether he would take up employment. Anytime if you ask him about employment, he was talking only about volunteers. And nothing else. During his time, nothing he could do. Employment, he could not create it, nor he could give any job to anybody. So that was a major issue among the youngsters. So probably they might not have voted for him. And above all, his campaign rhetoric was completely focusing on welfare schemes and distribution. He was giving so much as compared to Chandrababu Naidu. So the previous government did not give it, I am giving it. More or less, all these Navaratnas were there earlier government. He renamed them and he distributed. And so this is the point here. And another point is the middle class and above middle class, they did not favor distribution of this money to the people. So that also added to the defeat of the other party at present. That's what I understand.
Very interesting, Professor Murthy. Very valid points, and it's a heavy disconnect with the people. that is costing the YSR Congress Party. And let me move on to Dr. Anita. Dr. Anita, how do you look at YSR Congress seeking votes in return to the welfare programs? Time and again, we have seen leaders, right from the chief minister to all the ministers and the lower rung leaders, talking about the benefits and direct benefit transfer and seeking vote and rather demanding the vote from public. How do you look at it?
Mr. Appaji, the party or the government, both of them were completely banking on welfare schemes right from the beginning. Okay, I feel the major root cause for the YSRCP coming into power is social engineering. They have been very successful in creating that kind of impact on the public by means of booth management or election management or social engineering. But that could not be continued with regard to the governance. See, there is no kind of holistic approach. At least there should be some kind of 3 to 4 USPs apart from the direct benefit. Okay. People see one reason for Chandrababu Naidu's lack of support from public is people have taken for granted that any government will go for welfare schemes. They are ought to. So what is special? That is what people would be thinking about. What extra benefits this government or that government would be creating to us, and what are the long-term benefits that they are going to provide us. So public would be enjoying the welfare schemes, but no doubt. But that cannot be the only plank on which they can bank on. So definitely there should be some kind of 3 to 4 areas. As Professor Sir said, there is a kind of gap between the governance and the public, and the governance party and the public. Okay, this layer of volunteers, that is in fact has served to a greater extent. Okay, that layer has been created, it has been successful in taking the advantage, but that has itself created a kind of gap. So the MLAs also, they don't have anything to speak about as what they could serve, what they could contribute to the public at large. So they also were not so confident enough, or the ministers also were not so confident enough to carry the message that yes, the YSRCP party has done so and so, so and so. And another major drawback which I have seen is they could not, take the strength of the manifesto. So they were not very clear as to what they are going to do in the next 5 years. So for the last 5 years, they have, created some kind of welfare, euphoria among the public. So that is not the only plank on which they can go for the next 5 years. See, in the last 5 years, before last rule, during the TDP government, in the last month, Chandrababu Naidu has given 10 lakhs to the Dwakra groups, anticipate Paspu Kunkuma scheme, anticipating that 1 lakh women folk would directly, vote for them. But they have enjoyed the drubbing. So welfare schemes or DBT is not the only USP through which you can fight the election.
That's
okay,
true.
so that is, I think, where YSRCP has lost ground. Had they, made some strong points with regard, at least they should have, fight against the allegations or accusations made by the alliance government with regard to, the Land Titling Act. They could have made it very clear, at least what are the objectives with which that particular act has been brought out. And they could have at least made some 5 to 6 strong points in the days to come as to what they are going to do for the public. See, yeah, and you can't take the public for granted these days. For the last 10 years or 20 years, we have been seeing every segment of the society has its own expectations and aspirations. For example, employees, whether it is in favor or against government, they are very clear. Students, youth, women, they are very much clear. So at least they should take up 2 to 3 schemes which can be of, which can cater to a long chunk of the public or population or the voters. So that is where I feel this party could not make use of the situation. Had they taken, yes, they have done excellently well with regard to Nadu Nedu schemes in schools. There has been a lot of transformation. But what is the rate of admissions into those schools? Despite the Ammavadi scheme, Nadu Nedu programs, a lot of money has been spent. They have been excellently transformed. But what kind of admission rate you could see? The dropout rate is still going on. So people are, despite introducing English medium schools, students are not attracted towards them. So there is a kind of gap with regard to the party and with regard to the government also. I think they could not draw benefit out of the schemes that they have, taken as their, brainchild. I think that is where they lost some ground, surely.
Yes, Dr. Anita, you're right. Actually, there is a lot of disconnect and
Yes,
heavy dependence on welfare schemes, and nobody could counter the opposition's points, the points
yes,
that
yes, yes,
opposition raised on several counts. It's
yes.
just welfare and nothing else.
Mm.
Yeah, let's
And the
quickly
thing
have
is, we could have seen the massive attack that has been launched against YSRCP party and the chief minister. Every day, these alliance parties have gone for 3 to 4 meetings, and the prime minister himself has come to attend large scale meetings, large number of meetings, which were held on a large scale. So that euphoria seems to be missing on part of YSRCP, where these people have making whirlwind tours across the state. Every nook and corner has been covered by all these three political parties. That is also one area
that's
where I think the
we are
YSRCP has lost.
also, yeah, we are also running out of time, and let's quickly try to address a couple of questions.
Okay.
So let me go to Sumit. Sumit, do you think Amaravati and three capitals plan have played a role in the polls? Is state capital a poll issue? Can you quickly comment on that?
Yeah. It is a poll issue, but not across AP. It was a poll issue basically in that Amravati, Krishna, that Guntur region, and Jagan Mohan Reddy not able to come up with a capital, either judicial capital or yes, thing. It was, people lost faith that today AP is a state without a proper capital. We don't know. So it was a poll
Exactly.
issue that is basically a quick sum up on that. But not, I think it was not a major issue across the state.
Dr. Anita, can you comment on how people from Amaravati, especially the farmers who contributed about 35,000 acres of land to capital, have responded? Do you think their response is, I should say, is very to the point, and they wanted to express themselves through the vote? If you look at the voting pattern, it looks like it's a sweep for the alliance in the capital
Yes.
region. What do
It
you
is
feel
a
about
val
that? Quickly
it is
comment.
a valid point, but I think that is not the only issue where it has influenced the entire voter turnout in the state. Because if you look at the 2019, had Amaravati been such a bigger issue, the TDP would not have lost Tadikonda and others, isn't it? So it was definitely not a statewide issue, but definitely it is an emotional issue which is related to the Krishna and Guntur districts. Okay, and people have largely thought that yes, we should have one capital. So strategically, it is located at Amaravati. People, because I talked to some of the people in Anantapur and Karnool when I had been to Anantapur and Karnool. Even the YSRCP people also were not in favor of Vishakhapatnam because Amaravati is strategically located in the geographically the center of the state. So what they said, within 6 to 7 hours we can reach Amaravati, but definitely it will take 24 hours for anybody to go to Vishakhapatnam. So Vishakhapatnam, though it was thumped, that is what many people that it was thumped on them as capital. But had it been developed, now keeping aside whether it is the brainchild of Mr. CBN or somebody else, had it been taken forward, had some kind of activity been taken forward in Amaravati, probably YSRCP also would have drawn some mileage out of it. People would not have questioned that it is not being developed. There are no development activities. Had they concentrated on development of Amaravati, probably they could have drawn some mileage out of it. So it did not create that much of negative trend across the state, but definitely it is one of the 10 issues. If you rank 10 issues, definitely it is going to be some fifth or sixth issue. So
That's
it is not the only reason, but definitely it is an activity. Anybody, whether it is TDP or whoever that comes to power, definitely has to, take a serious note of it as to how they are going to develop it. They should be very clear.
getting back to Sumit. Sumit, let's also have a look at the impact of issues like liquor, sand, land mafia, and the Land Titling Act. how did people react to such issues? And there is also issue of job loss. There is no job, and there is no infrastructure and
Yeah,
investment, etc. in the state. So
yeah,
are
yeah.
there did people react to that also?
Yes, yes. They reacted for every aspect that you mentioned. There was a reaction on that. Liquor, yes. Jagan Mohan Reddy came into power saying that he will go for a phased prohibition, then total prohibition, which he did not adhere to. He has given it to open it to government. Okay. Then there was issue of the quality of liquor, which the opposition raked it up by saying that health issues, and it was to a certain extent proven correct that yeah, some I mean the people are falling sick. So the women were, women had a problem at home because of the liquor that was being served. Then brand, unbranded liquor. These all liquor had an issue with this thing. And the cash payment. It's not that everything goes into in cash payment. That has a huge issue with that thing. So everything was an issue with liquor. Sand, yes, we know that sand prices have been going up. Land mafia, yes, in urban areas, especially Visakhapatnam, there's a huge impact of land issue because YSRCP leaders have been accused of grabbing huge chunks of land. You know, some bureaucrats also were involved recently, been having issues on that. Some politicians were involved in a big way. Some major chunks of prime land being taken over. Um, Land mafia asking people, but forcibly asking people to vacate the land. These all issues were there in Vizag, some Madhurwada area, all these areas. Yeah, it had an issue in Vizag. That's the Vizag. I think now we are almost going for a clean sweep for TDP. I think right from MP seat to all the seven LS, the one only seat which was might have gone to win YSSCP is now down. BJP is winning that seat, so it's there. And land titling, as I said, that yeah, that was a ultimate blow from the urban sector. People thought that yeah, anybody can take over our land. So these all issues that you mentioned had a major impact, and opposition could highlight these issues, which probably the ruling party could not counter it with they didn't have the proper ammunition, the right time to counter it. They fired to the salvos fired by the opposition parties. So it made an impact on that. A quick sum up
That's
of what you asked. Yeah.
Yes, that's true, and quick and pointed analysis on that. And well, that's the ground reality we could gather by afternoon. At the moment, it's all celebration for the TDP, BJP, JSP alliance. We could see the party cadre burning crackers across the state. We'll have to wait, though, till the final result is out by evening, late evening. Till then,
Yeah.
goodbye, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.